title of this installation is A Dangerous Proposition. The dangerous proposition is public education. What you see here are vessels filled with water and light kind of hovering right above the water. Of course, if they touch, they can short the whole system out. So it's this sort of an image that's meant to be both beautiful but also kind of a little bit of danger. I asked teachers their favorite quotes about the undertaking of teaching, and these are what people sent me. I've been thinking a lot, actually, about how public education is a pretty radical act, that giving people the tools to question their government, to question their culture, to think critically is a pretty recent development in human history. It's something we take for granted. This exhibition kind of begins with that notion. It toggles between a couple different metaphors for education. One of them is the idea of a child as an empty vessel that the teacher just pours knowledge into. It's this sort of kind of discredited idea that teachers have whatever it is that they need to be filled with. Education is a spark that ignites the fuel, or that, you think about the Enlightenment, it sheds light on what is inside, or light. So this is What Remains is Dust, a meditation on objects and memory. I was thinking about the objects that migrants leave behind. I was thinking about ex-votos left in churches, all these kind of objects that are trace of a person that used to be there. So this exhibition has tables held up by things like walkers and high chairs and wheelchairs and crib backs to remind us of the absent body, and objects from people who have lost someone, and many of them objects from my own family. But many of these things are about as, kind of common off the shelf. And they're not particularly unique, or many of them are not unique. And they're being laid out on these tables, covered with cloths and tablecloths and curtains, and they're being sifted over with a powder that's made of my mother's face powder, my father's body powder, cornstarch, and salt. And just like memory, the objects become softened, kind of lose their individual identity, and become part of this humble and completely ordinary, but also very evocative of lives lived. In fact, I think one of the interesting things was watching people at the opening say, "Oh, I had one of those," or "I had one of those," or "Oh, I remember that." Having objects that people leave us or give us, and that remind us so strongly of another person.